Hey guys, it's the Recliner Nerd here. John Moore coming at you with a new show I'm starting called the Texas FBS College Football Countdown. Now, what this is, most of you know me from the DLLS Weekly Rangers podcast. I co-host with Jeff Wilson from Rangers Today. Also, when we were there before we hooked up with DLLS. All City Sports. This is something I wanted to do on my own. I'm a big Ranger fan, and I've never shied away from the fact that I'm a Ranger fan. And so when I come at it with Jeff, I come at it from a fan's perspective, even though I'm in the media and I get to cover the team that I grew up loving. I'm also a college football fan. I'm no expert. I've never claimed to be an expert, but I follow it just as closely as I do the Rangers. My opinions are my own. They're sometimes stupid, and I get called out for it. I'm also not ashamed to admit that I'm a Texas Longhorn fan. I did not go to the University of Texas. I give the a lot of teams that aren't UT a lot of slack, and that's what makes this fun. College football rivalries are fantastic. But I wanted to do something. I started it on Twitter the first week of college football this year, and I did a countdown of there are 13 schools in the FBS college football division. What is that? That's the football bowl subdivision, which means that they are eligible, whether it's through a G5 conference or a Power 5 conference, they're eligible to get into the college football playoffs. Some of them would have to come from a lower conference, but most of your, if a team wins the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, something like that, and there's schools from Texas in all of those divisions. There's also Conference USA. There's there's the AAC conference also, but they can come out of there if they're undefeated or something like that. But right now in the state of Texas, there are 13 of these schools. I started counting them down on Twitter at reclinernerd.com. So it's if you don't, or not .com, it's at reclinernerd. If you want to follow me there or on Instagram, hit the subscribe button below here. We're just doing this on my personal YouTube channel. It's for fun. I'm not trying to capitalize off of this. I just like opinions and fun when we're doing this. As it's going forward. So what I did, I started the first week, started counting down, and I listed them ranked 1 through 13 from who I thought was the best team going down to the 13th team in the state of Texas as far as Division I FBS schools. Every week I would change that, and let me tell you my criteria. I wanted to lay it out before I started the countdown. So first of all, record counts, especially in the first half of the season. You can go strength of schedule, all that fun stuff that you want to do. But when you come down to it, record's going to always count. It's going to go up and down depending on what your record is. There's only one undefeated team out of the 13 in the state of Texas. That's my Longhorns. So right now you can obviously guess where they're probably ranked right now, but they're ranked that high anyway nationally. So that's a pretty easy one. Number 2's different. Now, Aggies think that I don't like them, and that's not true. I actually like the Aggies, but it's fun to have fun with the Aggies. But when we get to it, my definition. So right now there are 4 teams that are 4-1 that are in FBS division out of the state of Texas. So how do I differentiate between them and who I think's ranked better or not? It's very simple. I watch a lot of the college football shows. I watch a lot of the college football YouTube shows like this just because I love to. I love to watch it. I love to see what people are thinking about each game each week. One of the criteria is always, and it's a fun one that everyone goes with, if 2 teams played on a neutral site, who do I legitimately think would win that game? And that would tell me right there who I think should be ranked higher than a team with the same record as them. And some of them have bad wins and better wins or whatever, but that's where that goes. Now, when you're going on down, there's some of them that have lost to other teams. Well, if they've got the same record, obviously that team's going to go above them. And it'll change as you get towards the end of the season because your strength of schedule would really have to come into play, especially for Big 12 and SEC, if they're matched up somewhere with a team that's coming out of Conference USA or the AAC, something like that, and they have kind of the same record or maybe one more loss than a team there, you still might get ranked higher than them power-wise just because the conferences are different. The competition is different. So I wanted to start out now, and I wanted to start from 13. We're going to work our way up, and that's the way I wanted to do this. I want all your opinions. Hit the likes. I wish there was a down button. You could do that. You can also leave an opinion and call me an idiot, and we'll get started with number 13. Okay, number 13 on the list is the University of Texas at El Paso, the Miners, the UTEP Miners. The UTEP Miners are 0-4. They haven't won a game yet this season. Head coach Scott Walden's new. It's his first year there. He comes in. He's a pretty energetic guy, supposedly. I've read some stories about him where he painted his entire body at a basketball game after he got hired last year. went in front of the fans, 3,000 fans, and tried to fire them up and do all of that. They lost their opening game against Nebraska pretty bad, but they played decent coming off of that. Liberty beat them 28-10. They lost to Colorado State pretty bad. They've got a big one with a conference rival because they're in Conference USA, and they're going to be playing against Sam Houston State this week. And Sam Houston State's ranked up above them right now, and the record's better. But for sure, that's one that it's coming up. I believe Thursday night they're going to be playing that one. But UTEP right now, that's who I've got. UTEP at number 13. Number 12 on the list, the Rice Owls. Rice Owls are 1-4. They play in the American Athletic Conference. Used to be old Southwest Conference foes. Head coach Mike Bloomgren, he's in his 4th year there. Rice is a hard place to coach, quite honestly. They started out, their only win came against Texas Southern, which they routed. Kurt Warner's son, E.J. Warner, is the actual quarterback there at Rice. But, they don't play this week. Then they come back and they play UTSA, which is another Texas team that's on this list. But Rice is number 12. Number 11 is the Houston Cougars. The Houston Cougars are 1-4. They're in the Big 12 Conference. Again, they're back in it. Coach Willie Fritz from Tulane, who's come over. This is his first season. They've got off to somewhat of a bit of a rough start. He came over from Tulane. Donovan Smith quarterbacks them. Their one win this year was against Rice, and that's why they're ahead of Rice. And they beat Rice pretty bad, 33-7. Now, they are they're going in next week, and they're going to be playing at TCU. This should be tough. Houston has not started off well. When you get a new coach in there, you come back to a bigger conference that was obviously bigger and better than where they were. We'll see where Fritz can do. He had some success at Tulane before leaving there, but now you're playing in the Big 12, which is a Power 5 conference. And it takes some time, but we'll see. They're going to be playing at TCU, who's probably the better team, and I expect TCU at home should probably beat them. But they come in at number 11. Now we get into the top 10. Number 10, the UTSA Roadrunners. That's the University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunners. They are 2-3. They're also in the American Athletic Conference. UTSA was picked to win that conference this year. They've started out a little slow, but they did play Texas. They got rolled by Texas State, who is better this year than they've normally been. But UTSA has got a new quarterback this year in Owen McCown. They're going to be hosting this week. They've got Rice. Actually, they're off. Their next game is Rice in 2 weeks. Rice is off this week. They're coming back to play UTSA on the 12th. But, that conference is easily winnable. You run into the University of Texas, plus you play against Texas State, who is playing pretty well. And when we get into Texas State, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Their losses have been close ones. G.J. Kinney has some good things going there. That's the top 10. Let's get over the top 10 and go into number 9. Number 9 is the Baylor Bears of the Big 12. This is Dave Aranda's last chance. He's in his 5th year. He has not been successful there. One side note on that Dave Aranda hire, when Matt Rule left to go into the NFL, Dave Aranda was the defensive coordinator at LSU, but a lot of the brass there, players, mostly players, not brass, excuse me. A lot of the players on that Baylor team wanted Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire to take that job. He was the associate head coach, and he was a linebacker coach there and tight end coach, but he was very popular. Matt Rule, one of the first hires Matt Rule ever hired was Joey coming out of high school at Cedar Hill, Texas there. They went with Dave Aranda and the defensive coordinator, who has not fared well. Look, they're playing Iowa State this week, probably another loss. Aranda has not gotten things clicking there. He's now running the defense himself. He was calling play calls on the defense. He wasn't doing that before. And, we'll see. They Finn was supposed to be their quarterback coming into the season, but Sawyer Robertson's been getting most of the snaps. This is probably a loss coming up to Iowa State. I think Dave Aranda is probably the hottest seat of everybody in the Big 12 or in the FBS system right now. He's probably the hottest one got the hottest seat right now going into it. Let's go to number 8. Number 8 is Texas State. The Texas State Bobcats used to be the Southwest Texas State or whatever. They're actually, C.J. Kinney is the head coach, came over from Incarnate Word, which was a division below that. Had success there. They're in the Sun Belt Conference. They're 2-2 right now. Look, they beat UTSA badly, who everyone has picked to be a good team this year. But they've had their losses have not been horrible. Look, they went Sam Houston, who's also another good school, barely beat them this last week, 40-39. They went out to Arizona State. One of their Big 12 foes this year. Arizona State beat them 31-28. It was a Thursday night game. It was a great game that they almost won. They won their first game against Lamar, but man, the UTSA game was when they really opened some eyes. And then going out to Arizona State and almost coming away with the win. Texas State coming out to Arizona State, a pretty storied program before that. But look, they're playing at Troy this week. They probably have a good chance to win that game going out to Troy, but this is a team. Texas State have opened a few eyes, and that offense was really clicking a couple times. But we'll see. It's good to see them play the way they are, and it looks like good things are ahead heading into the Sun Belt. Be interesting to see. They play Troy this week. Number 7 is the TCU Horned Frogs from the Big 12. TCU is 3-2. Their 2 losses this year. UCF, that was one that was a shootout that went down to the last wire. They lost to SMU bad. Boy, that was the loss that SMU just boat raced them 66-22. That game was fun to watch. The Iron Skillet, they're longtime rivals for DFW Metroplex. If there's anybody else that might semi be on a hot seat, I don't know if it's is Sonny Dykes on there. I mean, he comes back after a national championship run where they go to the national championship and just got rolled by Georgia. He comes back and last season was not good. Didn't even make a bowl game. They're starting out 3-2. New quarterback. They went with Chad Morris last year, who ended up transferring up to North Texas. Hoover's been pretty good. Look, they're going to be hosting Houston this weekend. They should win that game pretty easily. 3-2, probably was hoping to be better than that. I don't think anyone expected TCU to win the Big 12 this year. But Sonny Dykes, after that Cinderella year and taking them all the way and beating Michigan to go to the national championship, to come back and not even make a bowl game the next year, and the way they've looked this year, we'll see. Jeff Wilson covers them. He thinks Sonny's fine. You do get some leeway after you go as far as he did, but we'll see what they do the rest of the year. They're in the middle of conference play now going forward, and let's see how they handle. They should beat Houston this week, but going forward, we'll see how it goes. Number 6 is the North Texas Mean Green, the University of North Texas up there in Denton, Texas. Now, North Texas is 4-1. Do I think North Texas could beat TCU? I don't. I really don't. But right now, their record is better than TCU's. This is where we're getting into that at the first of the year, where you need to win your games and go forward. North Texas' only lost was to Texas Tech, who boat raced them 66-21. That was a pretty, but other than that, Chad Morris from TCU's up there now playing quarterback for them, or Chandler Morris, excuse me. I keep saying Chad is Chandler. He's done good. North Texas in the AAC also. Eric Morris is their head coach. This is his second year up there. Look, it's tough to come into a place like this and win, because you're clearly not on a top tier Power 5 conference. But right now they're going good. They're 4-1. This week they're off. They do have FAU coming up next week. But when you keep winning, you stay in the top 5 or you stay in the top 6. You're 4-1 right now. You're going to be 4-1 after this week. But they come in at number 6. Number 6 is the Sam Houston Bearcats. Okay, Sam Houston, I have to make an apology to them. When I started this thing, and for some reason in my head, I had 12 teams, and I did it the first few weeks just by Twitter, on my Twitter account, just ranking them and tagging everyone in it, saying who I thought, and remembered them 2 weeks ago. I was like, God dang, Sam Houston. They actually won a national championship in 2020 when they played that spring football season because of COVID. They ended up going undefeated and winning the national championship. Sam Houston's 4-1 in Conference USA. Casey Keeler, he's been there 10 years. It's his 10th season there. The last year they started out like 0-8, really bad. They made their jump and getting into Division One FBS football. But now here they are. Now they are at UTEP, a team they should beat. But this could be a bad loss for them going forward. Watson, their quarterback's been okay doing this. So right now, I've got Sam Houston at number 5. All right, let's get into the top 4. Top 4, obviously, are Power 5 schools that are still up there. 3 of them are 4-1. Number 4, we got Texas Tech. The Texas Tech Red Raiders, they're 4-1. With the one loss coming to Washington State, they had a bad win to start the season. I was really worried. Joey McGuire's in his 3rd year there. Abilene Christian, they went down to the wire and barely won that game, 52-51. But then they seem to have come back into it. They've had some good wins over Arizona State, Cincinnati. They won last week, and another nail biter. Bayron Morton's the quarterback there. McGuire, McGuire's wife is a personal friend of mine. I'm always rooting for Joey. I liked him when he was at Cedar Hill. That job fits him perfectly. But this week they're going out to Arizona to play as they really start to get into Big 12 play. Right now, look, they're one of the teams tied for the top of the Big 12 just because everybody's kind of just getting into conference play and playing. But watch Texas Tech. They score a lot of points. Now, defense is something. Joey McGuire's a defensive coach. He kind of came up that way. But it'd be interesting to see what they do going forward. Now, we get into the top 3. The top 3 gets dicey. And like I said, 2 and 3 are where we come into this question we have. Okay, top 3 are here. Wanted to explain this before I got into it. You have 2 teams at the top 3, right? Yeah, obviously we know who number 1 is. But 2 teams that are still on this count, and it was very close coming from me, believe it or not. Now, I know one side of this argument is going to go, there is no way you're trying to say that this team can be compared to our team. I'm actually saying they could have been, but for me personally, it came down to this. If these 2 teams, between SMU and A&M, that's our 2 and 3 teams. I don't know. I'll tell you the order right now. But between the 2 of them, if they were to meet on a neutral field right now, and play each other, although I think it would be a game that most of you don't want to admit, especially Aggies, I do think A&M would end up winning that game. They just have the better athletes right now, and they seem to be clicking. That was a good win against Arkansas this last week. So, SMU is good. So number 3 is SMU Mustangs. Look, SMU is 4-1 right now. Rhett Lashley in his 3rd year has really got that program clicking. They are in the ACC now, the Atlantic Coast Conference. They're in a Power 5 conference, 4-1 heading into play there. Now they play at Louisville this week. Louisville's a good team. This will be a big test for them this week, and how they do. I do think that the game would be closer than Aggies would like to admit. But overall, look, the Aggies have started to impress me. That Arkansas win last week makes them jump up in the standings here to the number 2 team, but don't count out SMU. Now, this could all change. SMU could just get boat raced this week by Louisville, who's got a good team. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the real test also is going to be for Texas A&M. Now, the thing is, for right now, let's say that SMU does go out and they end up beating Louisville. Let's say that A&M goes out and loses to Missouri. Would that put SMU over Texas A&M? Yeah. I mean, as of right now, this early in the season, yes. Do I think they finish better than A&M? Probably not. I think A&M's going to be a better team, and A&M's playing probably the better team right now, which is a top 10 ranked team in the Missouri Tigers. But since we've got number 3 at SMU, let's go to number 2, Texas A&M. Look, I give my Aggie friends a lot of grief. Everybody knows I give them a lot of grief. It's fun. I like the Aggies. It's good for the University of Texas, who I love, for the Aggies to be good. So I've always wanted them to be good, but it is fun when they lose to give them, give them some credit about it. Mike Elko in his first year has changed the atmosphere there. I think the only thing holding A&M back right now, they're a little bit suspect on defense, on run defense especially, and quarterback play. They're trying to figure that out. Connor Wigman, the obvious more highly touted quarterback coming out, he's a 5-star coming out of high school. But look, you got to look at Reed, Marcel Reed, and what he's done since he's been playing. Reed has been good. He's a little bit freshman-y. You see that. Saw it with Arch Manning. But Reed is dynamic on his feet. He makes plays. His throws aren't bad at all. Wigman probably has the better arm, but they're going at Missouri, or no, actually Missouri's coming to A&M this weekend. I thought Arkansas was going to beat A&M this last week. I just thought it was going to happen. I didn't mince my words about it. I ate crow over that. They took care of business with Arkansas, who's worse than I thought they were. I think they're going to beat Missouri. Missouri, everyone is touting Missouri. I don't see it. I mean, Missouri had a bad win that they almost, that they barely won, and should have probably lost. And I think Missouri's in for a battle that they against Vandy. Now I know Vandy's better this year, Vanderbilt's better, but Missouri should have lost that game, quite honestly, and they ended up winning that, and they were home. Vanderbilt was the away team when that happened. That's why you go into College Station. It's tough to play at College Station, and I think Missouri's going to get beat. I think A&M is really going to pull that off. I'd kind of like to see that, to tell you the truth. I wouldn't also giggle if Missouri ends up winning, but that's not a knock on A&M if Missouri ends up beating them. Look, this year A&M was not going to compete for a national championship, probably not compete for an SEC championship either at all. But they could. They very well could. Look, you beat Missouri. You kind of catch a win there going in. They have a weaker schedule like Texas does. Texas has a very easy schedule for SEC schedule. Everyone can give them all the crap they want. They've handled business with everyone they've played going forward. And I think they're going to probably have pretty good luck with Oklahoma. Then you have Georgia coming in. That'll be fun. And, of course, that A&M game at the end of the year is going to be fun to see. So that brings us to number one. Number one, the University of Texas. It's easy to pick Texas right now. Look, they're 5-0. They're ranked number one in the coaches poll. They're ranked number two in the AP poll. Understandable. Alabama with a huge win over Georgia this week. Sarkisian's in his fourth year. He's done nothing but improve that. They're in the SEC along with A&M, the best conference in football right now. They are not off. They're off this week. Obviously, the big game coming up against the University of Oklahoma. I think they should beat Oklahoma. Look, it'll always be a tougher game than it should be. I think every year when Oklahoma's been the better team, Texas has almost beat them or beat them. There's always a close game. There's just been a couple of rout years that have happened. 63-0 or 7 that year that Oklahoma routed them. Texas beat OU 49-0 a couple of years ago. But this is it. They've got Ewers. You saw what they do without Ewers. The offense probably doesn't quite click with Manning like it did, but Manning played exceptional for that. But look, this has been fun. It's the top 13. I want to do this every week. You guys leave your opinions. Hit the button down there below. We're going to call it the Texas FBS College Football Countdown. It's just for fun for y'all. If you like it, give us a thumbs up, give us a message, give us a like, and also subscribe to the channel. All right, week 6 after this, and it'll be the Red River Shootout. Let's see how it shakes out after this weekend.